This is Talk Star Wars, the official podcast of talkstarwars.co.uk. Hello everyone, welcome back to Talk Star Wars. I'm Mark.
I'm Stephen.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Paul.
That's a full house. Let
Boom.
the record show.
Right, I've got to pop out. See you soon.
All of us in the same all of us in the same place at the same time. It's almost unheard of. Okay, before we get started this week, we want to say thank you to Gloria Garcia, Anna Maria Leonte, yes, both of those people were in The Force Awakens, Brandon Botargo and Eric Cardona, who actually won something in the draw in his first week as a VIP. They all became TSW VIPs this week, so thank you very much for joining the gang.
Wow.
Welcome aboard.
They're all quite active in that VIP group. A lot of fun. And I didn't put this on the show notes, but I just wanted to give a big shout out to Robert Phillips for an extraordinary act of generosity and kindness today. I'm not going to go into details, but I'm just going to say, Robert Phillips, you are the man. Okay, reviews.
Never gonna give.
Since we started this podcast, we have had what we call the Ron Burgundy policy, which means whatever you write in a 5-star review in iTunes, we will read verbatim.
I believe the original policy was Mark will sing it a cappella.
I do not remember that. And if I did,
it's interesting.
It was not intended as a factual statement.
Can I just say something in here?
Go on, Steve.
I think Fuzzball is being lowballed here.
No, I think he
knows what he's getting.
Yeah.
Right, next time, put the review on and say you must be sung, because I'm quite prepared to sing it, but the others have
let's
out.
keep this in context for the people listening.
Steve, once again, I sing like an angel, but there's a time and a place, and this ain't it.
Satan was an angel.
Unfortunately, it's Lucifer, but there you go.
Yeah, the fallen one.
Yeah.
The review policy.
We could have sung it together, Rob.
The review policy was quite clear.
One day we can.
I will read verbatim whatever goes into iTunes.
And also, I'd also point out as well that in the past, we've had stage direction in the reviews.
We have.
And there are no such stage directions in this one.
There are not. So
I'm putting a review on.
This was bound to happen at some point. Oh, goodness me.
If it's the entire
ladies
lyrics
and
to Luther
gentlemen,
Vandross is never...
Go put the kettle on.
So from Fuzzball 1234, a 5-star review entitled "I'm Never Giving Up This Podcast."
Oh no!
And it goes something like this. Goodness me, I can't believe this is happening. This is going to be now an avalanche of these sort of reviews, right? This has started something. Okay, so this is Fuzzball 1234's review. We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. A full commitment's what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. I got to make you understand. I'm never going to give you up. I'm never going to let you down. I'm never going to run around and desert you. I'm never going to make you cry. Never going to say goodbye. I'm never going to tell a lie and hurt you.
You already have?
I'm going to mute you, Steve. We've known each other for so long, your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it. Inside, we both know what's been going on. You know the game, and we're going to play it. And if you ask me how I'm feeling, don't tell me you're too blind to see. I'm never going to give you up, never going to let you down, never going to run around and desert you. You're never going to make you cry, never going to say goodbye, never going to tell a lie and hurt you. Never going to give you up. This dramatic reading thing, I didn't think this through. Never going to let you down.
Should have sung it.
Never going to run around and desert you. Never going to make you cry. Never going to say goodbye. When you read this stuff, you sound like a loon.
Yep.
Gentlemen.
Ooh, give you up.
Give you
Never
up.
gonna give you up.
Give you
Give
Steve,
you
not
up.
yet.
This is the Herding Cats collection.
This is wonderful.
All right.
Steve, it's now your turn.
You wanted to sing, Stephen. Do it.
I'm not singing it. What am I singing? Which bit? I'm doing the bottom bit.
Goodness.
Yeah,
Get to it,
you're in the
I'll
wrong.
sing it.
Yeah, we're in the wrong bit. So just carry on, Mark.
Thank you, Rob. You're
Sorry.
redeemed.
We've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it. Inside, we both know what's been going on. We know the game, and we're going to play it. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. I've got to make you understand. I'm never going to give you up. Never going to let you down. I'm never going to run around and desert you. never going to make you cry, never going to say goodbye, never going to tell a lie and hurt you, never going to give you up. I should fake this out. Never going to let you down.
I really enjoyed that.
What I might do is I might put the music under it. Under my dramatic reading.
I said we should have done it to Imperial Mark.
That would have required. That would have required a bit of
not being
skill
planning.
There was no way. There was no way out of that. We were hoisted on our own petard there. So let's just.
I enjoyed watching the binary sunset, listening to your dulcet tone.
So please, anyone who wants us to sing it next week, be specific, and I'll make them do it.
There you go. That's fine.
You'll make them
from
do
now on. Yeah.
That email
you'll request your favourite TSW host to sing specifically.
I'll do it.
It can be Steve. I was about to say not Steve, but that's not fair. It can be Steve.
I would have loved singing tonight. I was really excited about having a sing song, and you ruined it.
We'll circle back to it at the end of the show, Steve. We'll do it again, and you can sing it. All right. So if you want to get your review, please don't make us sing things. Read out on the show. Go to iTunes, leave a 5-star review. We will read whatever you write verbatim. So if you'd rather promote something that you're doing rather than make us all sound like lunatics, then brilliant. And that's the place to do it. All right, let's get into...
You wait, Mark. It's going to be next week. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to ever...
Can you imagine?
I hope not.
Oh, God. I don't know.
That'd be an After Dark Side review anyway.
Yeah. All right, listener comms. You can send your questions and comments to us via Twitter, Facebook, or you can send us an email and a voicemail if you simply attach an MP3 to talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. And we have got a ton of stuff. We've had 2 come in even while we've been recording. So this is from
we started the song.
Jonathan Morales. Since we started
that was 3 weeks ago.
That long song. Who wants to take Jonathan's email this week? Paul, you haven't been around for a long time. Let's do you.
I
didn't allude to any witty euphemisms there, Mark. I just want to put it out there.
That is true.
Oh, he's on strike.
He's going to be in a bad
mood.
No sing-song.
No pun.
From Jonathan, I'm assuming that's Morales, yeah?
Morales, yeah.
Morales, okay. Hey guys, sorry for sending this twice, as I wasn't sure if the iMessage worked. Ew, that's got an I in front of it. Anyhow, just rewatched TFA and noticed something unusual at the end. Given the TLJ teaser trailer seems to partially focus on ancient Jedi texts, I wonder, has anyone noticed this book lying around as Jay walks through Achoo, looking for Luke? She seems to even be looking right at it. Hope to hear you guys discuss this on an upcoming podcast and keep up the great work. I've been listening since day one. That's more than me.
This is real.
So the breakdown, is this a book Rey's looking at in The Force Awakens? It certainly looks like one, and I don't recall this scene.
I don't recall this.
It's there. I'm going to the clip now because I've just loaded up Force Awakens. I'm just going to have a look at the clip now. I think that's a box.
I thought it was like a little tabley type thing. Because I'd always looked at it as he was eating food off of it.
Really small Jedi.
It's tiny. It's on the floor. If you're eating that low, why bother? Just like brother. You might as well.
Rob,
do you know? Actually,
put the clip in the notes. I want to have a look.
It's a little tiny table.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No,
Steve, it requires basically extracting the video from my copy as I'm watching it.
I see what you mean.
I'll tell you what I can do. I can give you a bigger screenshot, so I'll do that now.
Why would they put a little table in that shot, though?
It's weird.
Just to show it's inhabited.
Yeah, I think it's either been.
Yeah, but who's going to sit at that? G.I. Joe?
Is it for those birds? Is it a bird table?
It is. The show notes you can download have an image that Jonathan took of his screen as he was watching the movie. We did see this before. I think it might have been in our audio commentary for the movie that we mentioned it. And I think it looks to me like a little table that you would prepare some food on and then just eat.
Do you think it's a lap
It's so
tray?
small, though.
Yeah, like a lap tray, yes.
When Luke's watching Cash in the Attic or
there we go.
Jerry Springer, he sits there with his little roasted bird, those Jedi bird things. He kills one and then sits and eats it in front of Cash in the Attic or whatever it's called in America.
They actually have a name now, those birds, don't they? I forgot what it is. No, it's not them.
No, it's not them.
No, they're called something else, like porgs or something. I think they're called
porgs.
Porgs.
What, the little cardboard things you slam down.
Yeah.
Porgs.
Star Wars porgs.
So does maybe Luke has his porg scratchings?
Yeah,
on them?
it is a little table, isn't it?
It is a little table. Yeah,
it's a little table. So, and there's a little kettle and all sorts of stuff. So it's showing
it's just to show
paraphernalia.
It's just to show there's somebody there, isn't it?
Paraphernalia that the island's inhabited.
Yeah.
But it does, in the screen grab that Jonathan took, it does look like a book laying on its side. But the shot you took, Rob, is very, very clear.
So thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan.
Can't get a lot out of that, really.
No, even though I was mocked for suggesting it was a table, it actually appears to be.
It ain't no table.
It's
not the kind of table like that initially jumps to mind when you say table. Is what it is.
It's too big to be a.
That's the round. That's the TSW
could it
round
be a little
table.
A little tiny.
Are you
footstool?
still looking at the picture?
Yeah, little tiny footstool.
Two other things are really cool. Number one, can you see that brown post sort of in the ledge in front of her?
Yeah.
That almost like totem pole kind of post.
Yeah.
That looks very.
I think that's a railing.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that.
It looks like a railing.
There's some interesting little bits in there.
Is that what that is? You think that's just like a banister pole on the top?
Yeah, I think it's probably from when it used to be more, when it was in better shape, it was probably
a fire hydrant.
It looks like it should have a rope sort of hung through it, but maybe they've taken the rope away.
Yeah, there's a T-shaped bit of what looks like it could be wood or it could be stone on top of it. So I wonder if it used to be a sort of bigger, like a staircase or something.
It's cool though.
That rock behind her head looks like one of those massaging devices. Imagine air quotes there that you buy in the shop that suspiciously look like something else, but they're for massaging.
Jonathan, I'm sorry that your question got Stevened there at the end, but what can I tell you?
Have some of that. What else you got?
Herding cats. Okay, moving on. Steve, do you want to take Dave's question?
Yes. Sorry if this has been discussed before. Right, next, it's been discussed before. Go on, Rob. Revenge of the Sith is the best of the prequels. But it still isn't brilliant. No,
Steve, you want to get that scene too?
I'm taking the spit back.
That congestion is just getting out of control, mate. If it gets any worse, you could die.
Talking about out of control, you notice how he's worse when Paul's around.
It is, isn't it? It makes it thicker. It's weird.
And I'm being good.
Yeah,
you are. He's playing up to impress you.
He's
I think.
I think it's time I got a knighthood.
Right,
going on with the knighthoods. Yes. Stephen,
sorry if this has been discussed before. Revenge of the Sith is the best of the prequels, but it still isn't brilliant. Agreed. If the script could be jigged a little bit to have Anakin slaughter all the Jedi that come to arrest Palpatine, in that he's protecting him and that's the moment he turns to the dark side, rather than the murder of the kids that's only hinted at, I think it would have been more powerful in showing Palpatine's control over him, but also would have made far more sense narratively in showing just how powerful Anakin / Vader is. And also you could still have Anakin face off against Yoda and have a no result, just the same way there's no winner really in the Palpatine Yoda fight. A rambly thought before dinner time, your pal Dave Demeron. So, would Anakin defeating the Jedi with Palpatino watching on would have made for a better Fall of Anakin story in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith?
So
if you insist on run-on sentences, Steve, your spit will build up. Just take breaths.
What do we think of this then? This alternate Fall of Anakin? Rob?
I like it. And actually, I do really like it. One thing I will say is that I would personally not prefer it, only because I absolutely love the over-the-top hammy faces that he's pulling during the lightsaber battle.
Oh, Ian McDiarmid, yeah.
Yeah, so I absolutely love those. They are just ludicrous, and I love every second of them. So for me, it would lose something because I cannot get enough of those faces.
And he's naff with a saber, isn't he?
He's not brilliant, but then at the same time, he really easily dispatches Kit Fisto and the other one.
Yeah, too easily, some might say.
Well,
yeah, there are some.
Come on, let's go and arrest him. Let's take the two worst Jedi in history. Because they're from East London.
I'm going to go by myself. And they're just like, Mace, where are you going, mate? Oh, fine, you can come.
But you know you're going to get cannon foddered away. Like, no
I'm just happy to help, Mace. Yeah, I'll bet.
Steve, you got any other thoughts on the subject?
I can't get the stupid kid out of my head that I wanted to die because he's acting. I've always said that.
There you go. See, that's the other one it satisfies, is it gets rid of the rubbish
that kid, he had it coming. Didn't he? He ain't gone to Mary Shelley.
What do you think is more...
No, that's Frankenstein writer, sorry.
Yes, it is,
What's the acting school in North London? Not Mary Shelley.
It's not Mary Berry, that's Bake Off.
This is the Steve we get this evening, obviously dehydrated and tired.
He's worn himself, he's burned out. Last couple of weeks have been too much for him, bless him. He needs a little light down.
What's more powerful, Steve, to you? Is it Anakin slaughtering kiddies, or is it watching him take on the Jedi instead of Palpatine take on the Jedi?
Well, the kiddie thing is no good for me because I never thought that worked, because even if Vader turns away from the dark side in Return of the Jedi, he still killed kids. There's no coming back from that. So it was a step too far, in my opinion. Anyway,
you don't think the fact that they're terrible actors indemnifies him in any way?
Well, no. In real life, if on set he'd have killed that kid, fine. Not in the fiction. It shouldn't have happened.
So what if?
It should never have happened in
Steve,
fiction.
let me run a hypothetical by you while Mark recovers. What about a special edition of Revenge of the Sith, you might say, where it cuts to the dressing rooms and Hayden Christensen just walks in, just snaps the kid's neck, and it's just like, "You're welcome," and then leaves.
It might need to be an R.
We are wandering into some really peculiar territory here. Paul, can you save us?
Which is preferable?
Yeah, I can. I actually like the way he falls already, to be honest. Because what he does is so dastardly, it's unforgivable kind of stuff, isn't it? But I do think it was a mistake. I think it was a post-writing mistake because he's obviously his redemption and so on. You wouldn't really think, oh, hang on a minute, what he did. Sort of situation.
Paul, are you on a trampoline and you're getting closer to the mic every few seconds?
No, you're moving further away from your speaker.
Oh, what world are we in where Steve gets to criticise Paul's mic? What bizarro world have we entered?
But anyway, no, I actually like, other than the I actually like the whole. I
really love Revenge of the Sith. I wrote a whole piece about it when I first started listening to Star Wars.
Regardless of what people thought, I thought Mr. Aiden did a pretty good job, actually.
Yeah, I think considering what he was given to work with, he did really well.
We've all pretty much come out on that side of things, I think, possibly apart from Stephen. And I'd have to say that I think this suggestion of Dave's really reframes this whole thing for me now. And if this could have been the shape of that scene, I would have been a bit happier, I think.
It would have been cool, but I say I love the kind of over the top.
Yeah, see that doesn't really work for me
at the beginning.
And the fact that Ian McDiarmid couldn't do the sword fighting himself, I think, and it led to some of that awkward face replacement.
Yeah,
it could have been a lot more impressive if Palpatine didn't have to stand up for himself. If he could have
from a narrative point of view, that makes a lot more sense. I think.
If he could have just ordered Anakin to dispatch those Jedi, that would have shown just how powerful he was. Not
even order him, just Anakin steps in front of them and does the whole "I need him" and "I need him alive" and stuff.
He still could have done all the cackling and stuff.
At the same time, I think you had to see Anakin with a little bit of, even if it was in the wrong direction, a bit of self-purpose. I mean, he chose to go places on his own and do things on his own, rather than just being a complete puppet.
The whole point of Palpatine is that he's a manipulator, so he doesn't need to fight. He gets everyone else. So I completely agree with Dave, Dammer, and Donovan. He's 100% accurate. They still should have gone to kill Palpatine, because Palpatine used that as a way of bringing Anakin that final step through the barrier between the light and the dark side. Indeed. So they still need to do that, but then all the Jedi were alive at that point. He goes, beep, and then kills everyone.
The only thing I would say,
and then goes in the dressing room and kills the kid.
What you don't get there is that moment where he's kind of they've visually they've made it very obvious that he's in turmoil by kind of positioning him between the two and having him sort of back and forth and trying to reason with Mace Windu. So you probably lose that. I'm not saying it couldn't work without it, but
it would still done exactly that scene, just with the two alive at the back.
Yeah, but then by that point, there's no reason for him to stand there in turmoil, is he? He's already made his choice. He's killed the other two. At that point, you lose
he could have locked off. He could have started like they're all against Palpatine. They win him over. Palpatine's on the floor. No one's died yet. Yeah. And then Mace says, he's too Scooby to be kept alive. Blah blah blah. and it all kicks off from there.
Dangerous is the word you're after.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that you could have seen other techniques from Anakin as well. If he'd have leapt straight into the fray, instead of killing both those Jedi Masters the way Palpatine had to, he could have force pushed them to the walls of the office and kept them pinned there while he tackled Mace. That would have been a really interesting sort of visual.
I think I can understand why they didn't do that. I think it would have been cool, but I think that's partially down to hindsight, if you'll pardon the expression.
Oh, of course.
No,
absolutely. It's what Christopher White calls Monday morning quarterbacking.
Yes,
you can see the whole field and you can see how it all plays out, and it's very easy now to second guess it. But that's in the spirit of Dave's question, isn't it? That we know that there's issues with the prequels. People have issues with the prequels, and these are things that we could, if we were able to tweak them, make those improvements.
Wasn't the whole point though that they didn't see it coming? Those 3 Jedi, like they thought, oh, he's an old man. This is going to be a cakewalk, and then all of a sudden he comes out of nowhere, stabs him through the chest. Just those stupid
I like
faces.
I like it when this Steve turns up, because I don't even need to make my points, because he makes his point, and then 2 minutes later he makes my point for me.
Yeah, when he calms down, calms down, he makes your point too.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a caffeinated coffee this morning and it still ain't worn off.
Oh God, you'll be riding that one till Tuesday.
And I had a load of 74% chocolate tonight.
Oh goodness me!
What proof?
Yeah, that's how I roll.
Dave, I think just to wrap up on your question there, I think we're with you for the most part.
It could have been cool.
It would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I like Rob that you're still committed to the original structure of it and that you take something out of it. I'm being very critical and looking at the thing. I don't mind the scene as it is, but I'm being very critical and looking at the things that have always stood out to me, like the face replacement and the lack of ability on him at the image part. It's no one's fault. I mean, you can't all be Ewan McGregor.
No.
And just thinking that Dave's suggestion would really work.
I definitely think it could be cool. I'm fully with you there.
Yeah.
But as I say, just for me, it would lose. There's certain bits it would lose.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then what we replace it with might even be better. I wouldn't know without seeing it.
Yeah, you don't know. And once you start as well, you can keep, like we've already said, that maybe if Anakin falls there, he doesn't need to kill the kid. So and then you start getting those things, those dominoes start to fall, and you end up unraveling the end of Revenge of the Sith. So it's quite tightly wound together, that film, in a way that one change affects many things, which is a bit of a shame. Paul's just popped away for a second. He will be right back. He's back. Right. Do you want to take Kyle's email then?
From Kyle at Tumbling Saber. Hi, Mark, Rob, Steve, and Paul. Hope you're doing well. Is it just me, or does Luke seem to recognise Kenobi in A New Hope when the Pantaloons Inferno, isn't that like that Wolfenstein Scream thing, scares off the sand people? Have Luke and Obi-Wan met before when Luke was younger, as Luke simply caught glimpses of him, or was it a lucky guess? If you choose door number 1, do you think we'll see this encounter at some point? Or should our proper first meeting of Luke always be as it stands today in A New Hope? Had Luke and Obi-Wan met before their encounter in Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope? How do we explain Luke's apparent vague reference to old Ben with his uncle? Should we ever see a previous encounter between Ben and Luke? We've discussed this on several occasions, if I recall.
That piece in heavy italics is my thought process, because Luke does mention old Ben when he sits down with Beru and Owen in the homestead, doesn't he?
Yeah, I know, but many, many, many people know of names of people they've never met before and so on and so forth. Because he's probably just a well-known hermit, that happened to live on Tatooine at that time. But isn't it apparent in either a book or a comic that he does meet him as a kid and he helps him? If I recall, isn't he just about to be trampled by some animal or something?
He gets no, he's unconscious for that bit.
Ah, okay.
He gets dropped back at home with no real understanding of why he's there.
But Ben's the one that saves him, right?
Yes, but Luke's unconscious. Yeah. No, Ben's not unconscious when he saves him. That would be impressive. But
I think there's a few instances where Obi-Wan sort of pops up and gets chased away by Owen, and I think that's some of Owen's dialogue in A New Hope sort of suggests how tired he is of Ben Kenobi,
or even just
a crazy old man.
And I wonder if we'll ever see, because part of Cole's question here is, should we ever see the encounters between Ben and Luke? And I imagine Luke, when he was a little boy, saw some of
I don't think there are any encounters personally. I'm with Paul. I think Tatooine's a big place, but obviously that area of it is they're relatively close together. So maybe seeing him around in Anchorhead or somewhere like that, and
Mos Eisley.
Yeah, or Mos Eisley. Well, I don't know if he's ever been to Mos Eisley. I get the impression that
Do you
Luke's
not
never
think
been there.
Ben would have been going to the homestead? Because that's always been part of my headcanon, that he keeps going there to check on Luke, and he sort of outstays his welcome.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, it's not so much that he's going. I don't take it as he's going there to be like, "Hello, Luke, how you doing, mate?"
No.
I think he's, you might be right. He might be visiting and Owen's saying like, "No, you're not seeing him," but maybe Luke gets.
That's exactly the way I've always read it, Rob.
Yeah.
Is he like the character in Family Guy? He's like behind one of the moisture.
No, not quite. Not quite like that. No, but we do see it in Rebels. We see the end of Twin Sons. We see Obi-Wan sort of ride up to the homestead on these little. Are they called Eopi? Those little strange little beasts.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And he kind of watches as Luke runs home, and that's the that's the impression I've always got, that Ben has dropped this kid off with the Lars family and can't stop going back and checking just to make sure he's okay, because he's a valuable item, right? He's a commodity, really. Yeah. There's no way Ben wants any harm to come to him. So, and that
he's a midichlorian jar.
Yeah, and Owen is constantly going to be chasing him away, saying, "Look, you left the kid with us. We'll look after him."
Yeah,
the more you're involved, the more at risk he is. Because if people find Ben, a Jedi in hiding, then
they're going to start. Well, that's what Maul was about to do, wasn't it? That was what set him up.
And that's the thing in Star Trek. My apologies. Star Wars Visionaries, the comic book. There is that story of Maul turning up on Tatooine. And going to the homestead and Owen putting him down.
And some blue milk.
Owen putting him down?
Owen puts him down with a blaster shot.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fantastic short story. Really, really cool.
Is this within the main Star Wars line, or is this earlier on?
This was before the acquisition, so this is all.
So
it wasn't
not
even
considered canon anymore.
It was never considered canon. It was sort of considered what are those sort of Elseworlds type stories that comic books used to do? Yeah, that kind of thing. And it was just a thought exercise that some artist had done, and it had become this. It became the seeds for bringing back Maul. In the Clone Wars, the metal legs and everything. And it's a fantastic story, but it's a service to Owen. It makes Owen the hero of the piece.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like the idea that they've been through this. They've been around this subject a few times, Owen and Ben, and he wants to stop Obi-Wan turning up. Just leave the boy alone. Let him have a normal life. If he's going to live his little life here in obscurity, which clearly Owen wants, right? With the attitude he takes in A New Hope, he doesn't want the boy going off and flying starfighters.
No,
he wants him to stay where he is and just live out his life quietly and peacefully, because he genuinely cares for the kid. It's not like he's just staying with them. He's his son, essentially, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and also he's, you get the impression that he's trying to keep him by sort of fobbing him off with, we'll put you in for the academy next season. And Luke says, that's what you said last year and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like he's obviously been giving him, sort of feeding him lines and sort of fobbing him off for a while.
And he's getting to the end of that. This no longer effective, is it?
No.
I like it. I think that certainly think that they've crossed paths, and I think maybe Luke's sort of seen it from a distance that this guy turns up. Owen goes and chases him off. Yeah, and then that's why he recognises him. And like you said, like Rob, you and Paul both alluded to a story where Ben's been there in the right place at the right time, and he's certainly there with the Tuscans in A New Hope. So I think there's been plenty of it. Should we ever see it on screen? Probably not.
We don't need it.
We don't.
I don't think.
What we've seen in Twin Sons and whatever they put in expanded universe stories now is fine. That should be plenty, unless the next animated TV show is a Luke TV show, which I could get on board with.
But for that era, unless it's like a timeline spanning his entire life, I think that would be quite dull. Teenage whining teenage Luke.
It depends, doesn't it? Because some of that stuff that's on the cutting room floor from A New Hope, sort of with Fixer and Cammy and I think Windy and
Biggs is there.
you've got like this little community. You could tell stories about Luke as a boy on this planet, flying the skyhopper and shooting the womp rats and hanging out with his friends. You could build a whole world around that. It wouldn't be very Star Warsy.
No, I also don't think it would be particularly interesting. I don't think it would carry a whole TV series.
No,
I think you could have an episode about a story that happened to him when he was younger as part of a larger narrative about his, reflecting back on his life or something. But
that's always the problem, isn't it, with those things? When you take somebody that we first meet as a young man, like in his 19 or 20, that sort of period, and he's supposed to be a nobody, and he's led a dull life. If you're then going to do a TV show where his life was anything but dull, it's like young Indiana Jones, isn't it? Where it's just it becomes too
At least
much.
with Indiana Jones, you get the feeling that Raiders of the Lost Ark is not the first time he's done that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas with Luke, you certainly get the feeling he's never been in that sort of position before.
Nothing's ever happened to him. That's why he stands looking at that binary sunset, isn't it, all the time?
Yeah, exactly.
Carl, that's an awesome question. Thank you so much. Guys, you got anything else you want to say on that matter, on that subject before we move on?
No.
Paul?
No, not essentially. I think it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, okay, right. Moving on to ads. Shall I take this one because everyone else has had a chance of reading so far?
Go for it.
So, evening, Steve and the TSW crew, winky face. So my question concerns the trailer for The Last Jedi and the shot of the rebel ships flying low to the surface, causing a red dust to spread out into the air. I totally agree with what you said when you broke down the trailer, that this could be to help confuse and disorientate the First Order during their attack, and I've always thought of something extra as well. Do you think that the planet's surface is deliberately being scraped because the dust particles are heavily combustible material? Let's say aluminium, for example, something that the AT-AT, just got to move this, something that the AT-AT wouldn't want to get covered in as the second wave of X-Wings come flying across armed to the teeth with explosives. A combustible dust storm could be pretty effective. Here's the science bit. So this is where there's in the show notes. If you download the show notes, have a look. It's absolutely brilliant. So finer particles burn readily when their ignition point is reached and tend to ignite the coarser particles as well. In case of aluminium, which he cited in his question, an explosion can result if ignition occurs whilst the particles are suspended in air as a dust cloud, since the burning extends from one particle to another. So it's kind of like a dust version of napalm. Which is,
I like that.
It sounds like a really cool awesome idea.
Well, why else would they? It's a really feasible idea. Why else would they be? Oh, let's put our things out the bottom and make loads of pretty colours. I mean,
I think they were just the Rebellion Red Arrows team.
Yeah, this is all ceremonial, right? Yeah. And then when they're doing their manoeuvres, they say, "Oh, well, those big walkers." Funeral.
Or are they covering up the troops, the ground troops behind them?
Well, this is what we said. You went around for the trailer breakdown, were you, Steve? That's what we said on the trailer breakdown, that these ships would be like the first wave, and they're kicking up all the dust to hide what's coming after them, which might be like a squadron of X-Wing fighters, or perhaps something a little bit heavier. It
doesn't seem to be going that high, the kick up, does it? If you look in the picture.
Yeah, but by the time the wind takes it, it could spray it up into the air, couldn't it?
All right, answer for everything.
I'm just spitballing.
The walkers are still very much on the horizon at this point as well, so they've got quite a way to go. So it could be pretty effective.
I like the idea. I mean, I like his idea better. But I'd hate if they do it just for fun. That's going to really annoy me. Like it's just a visual thing. So you basically slowed down your ship and ruined the planet's surface for nothing.
Oh, now we're getting to the real problem.
It looks like the planet's surface is pretty untouched, though.
This is
being skimmed off the top.
Yeah,
like an agent.
I think it's flammable. Red denotes flammability, doesn't it?
I like that idea.
That's kind of what it suggests.
He's taught me something.
Even ladybirds.
Not know aluminium dust was flammable, and it made me think twice about drinking
almost every dust is flammable if it's. Did you know talcum powder is extremely flammable? Don't try this at home. In fact,
don't ask how I know, but yes, carry on.
Yeah, so like you wouldn't think talcum powder is flammable. Flour.
I'm not allowed to babysit anymore for that reason.
You know, like bread, flour for bread. If you aerosol that, it's extremely flammable.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chuck some flour up in the air, put your head in it, and set a light to it. I want to see the pictures.
This could also be spice. We don't know.
Spice.
We don't know what
Could be.
spice is yet, but we're hearing that this planet is called Crate, and it's a spice mine that the rebels or the resistance are using to hide in and to finance sort of bankroll.
But would they need to do a spice
enterprise.
mine if it's readily available on the top?
Well, it depends what they're looking for, doesn't it? Because this might be,
I guess.
They're fracking.
Yeah, fracking brilliant, Paul. Sorry, that was low hanging fruit.
It's an interesting idea, but please be careful with any aerosoling any powder and setting a light to it.
Stop with the PSAs. I think this is a great idea, and I think you've really just sort of opened our minds up to something pretty cool here as well. I look forward to seeing this in action. If this dust is going to bring down those walkers, that'd be awesome. Rather than tow.
But have they not started aerosoling it a bit too early because they're like miles away? If that is the case,
that could be one of the sort of action pieces. Is they set the explosion off too early and it doesn't take because it's not it's diffused too much or something. But that's a bit like
it's a bit sciencey.
Yeah, exactly. It sort of goes into the realm of like
Star Wars doesn't do science very well, does it? We know this.
Yeah, Trek has always
science fiction doesn't do science very well.
Trek has always been the one with the harder science of the two.
Yeah. I love Star Trek. And Mark loves Star Trek because he accidentally used the word Star Trek a minute ago.
I did.
Proving that he loves Star Trek more than Star Wars.
Oh, dear.
You traitor. I'm with you.
Next week, Avatar.
Oh, God. No, we're not going down that again. Ads, thank you very much.
I don't like Avatar anymore.
Thanks very much for your question.
Yes, thank you, mate.
Right, we got a question from Katie. So Katie Stubbs in the VIP group tweeted this at us today. She's got
the coolest name.
KTSO. Yeah, she's awesome, Katie. So
I can't do that with my name.
She sent this question to us via Twitter. I've just sort of it was across 3 tweets. I've just sort of broken it down to this simple form. So, when Star Wars Rebels ends, what would we like to see in its place, and what period should another potentially animated show be set in? Any preferences, gents?
No. You let Rob answer, and then we'll copy him.
Right back in the beginning. Well, it's only a time period, Steve. So
but I don't know when the last one ended.
Just before Rogue One. Well, it will end just around about the time of Rogue One. Last series.
I'd like after A New Hope.
Okay, that's cool. That's a good answer. It's not the one I'd have gone for, but it's a good answer.
Paul, how far back were you thinking?
I want pre-Menace.
Right, okay.
I want the birth of the ancient orders and everything.
Right, so you're sort of talking about the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic period. Rob?
When even Obi-Wan was only a wiggle.
Old Republic for me. And I'm going back as far as like Darth Bane and the Rule of Two. That sort of far back.
Is that like 1,000 years?
If not
before
more.
Star Wars, right?
Oh, I know. I want the birth of the binary sun.
Yeah, I quite like. I know. Steve said between New Hope and Empire, but I would really like to see what happened after Jedi.
That would be good.
Especially there's something in the news a bit further down the notes from Bresnikan on EW this week, and that's really some of his comments in there made me think about that period after Return of the Jedi. That's what I would really like to see. An animated show would be a really good way to tackle that, I think. Obviously, because we can't get those actors back into play.
Yeah.
And we'd have to recast everyone.
Between Rogue One and A New Hope would be cool.
What, that 5 minutes?
that nanosecond.
Couple of weeks at a push.
Just Vader looking pensive.
Just sitting there like, are we close?
Yeah. I want to know how they got to Hoth. That's what I'd really like to see.
Yeah, I think you might.
Number 72 bus.
I think we might see that somewhere soon.
Next stop is Hoth. A light here for services to the Rishi Maze.
You better put your booties on because it's cold out there today.
When they mentioned Inferno, is it Inferno Squadron, the new Squad, the new book that's coming out soon? Some of those characters are in Battlefront 2.
Yep.
And they're on Endor when the Death Star goes up, according to the trailer.
Yeah.
I think they chase the rebels in Inferno Squad. I think they chase them from Yavin.
Oh.
So yeah, I think they chase them from Yavin to Hoth.
Oh, okay. If they're still about in Jedi, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Because really, why would you go from that nice moon around Yavin that's all nice and tropical unless you had to?
Yeah,
Because it's
Yeah,
lovely
exactly. Well, of
there,
course,
isn't it?
yeah, they're already there, aren't they? The Empire. So it's just a question of the fleet jumping in to that position.
Yeah. They
And
wanted to
then
go
suddenly
somewhere
they're-
where they never thought they'd go because it's inhospitable.
Yeah,
so that would be a great story to see, wouldn't it? To see the rebels sort of pack up and have to and it could, again, it probably wouldn't be a very long series,
no,
but you would get a Battlestar Galactica kind of feel of it with them packing up and hauling ass to the next hideout.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right.
That's it.
Let's just put stakes in the ground for this. So, Katie, I want a post Jedi story personally when we can find out what happened in the 30-year gap. Plenty of play there.
Pre-menace.
Paul wants pre-menace, Rob wants the Old Republic, and Steve
Yep.
wants something between A New Hope and Empire. All cracking ideas.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Filoni, make one of those happen and you'll make somebody happy at least.
Make
Yes,
it
please.
so.
Thank you, mate.
Make it so. Right, we got a couple of questions. We're at 50 minutes. We've got a couple of questions come in since we've been recording. Do we want to tackle those now, or should we carry them over to next week?
Are they time sensitive at all? Or are they just kind
So
of...
put them at the end if we've got
No.
enough time.
Okay. I'm just curious, because
Um,
obviously if they were about news, then we'd probably need to do them sooner rather than later. But if they're not about specific news,
no.
then it doesn't really matter.
No, they're good. They're good. Let's do them now. And then
All right.
let's do them now, and then we'll go to a break. So this is from Ian
Okay.
Jolliffe. Ian Jolliffe. So he says, "Hi, Talk Star Wars. A question regarding the ultimate conclusion to the current saga. Although I think it's unlikely, how would you feel if Rey ultimately ended up on the dark side and Kylo back in the light? As a grown-up, supposedly I would find this satisfying dramatically, but I doubt Lucasfilm would be as bold as they want Rey to remain a hero role model for kids. Be interested to hear your thoughts, Ian Jolliffe." So, what do we think?
I
They're
think
going to
he's
use
bang on.
Rey to pay tribute to Leia as well.
Sorry, Paul.
They're going to use Rey to
Mhm.
pay tribute to Princess Leia at the same time. I think that's what they're doing. So they're going to be moulding her into this beautiful, not necessarily a princess and so on, but I think they're going to give her such a part that it's going to be almost homage to, the Princess Leia character that they've actually since told us that is not going to be in the final stories and so on. So she's going to be big happy hero at the end.
Right.
But I think he is. I think he is too.
Is
Okay.
there any chance that Rey is of royal lineage?
Don't
Don't
know.
We don't know yet, do we?
think, don't
No, but
think
that would be a nice
so.
twist, wouldn't it?
Just seeing it, what I've put into the. I didn't put anything about it in the show notes, but we'll discuss something when we get into the news section, because I saw a video this week that really opened my mind up a little bit about Rey. So Paul, you're saying no dark side for Rey, but possibly light side for Kylo.
Yeah.
Steve?
I think Disney aren't bold enough to do that. And even though they say they're all about the story, they have got a bottom line, and they are for kids. And I understand that.
If
but it does
this was
ruin
Tumbling
everything.
Saber, there'd be money going in the kitty right now. It's Lucasfilm who make these decisions, not Disney.
Yeah, you say that.
I do, because it's true.
So no dark side for Rey, Steve. But do you think they could bring
Unfortunately,
Kylo?
I like his idea. I think it's a brilliant idea, but no.
Do you think Kylo back to the light side?
Again, is he redeemable because he's killed
One
his
bloke.
daddy? No, not one bloke. He's killed loads of people.
Yeah, but one that we've seen that we can...
Well, he's
Kind
going
of.
to have killed a lot by the end of the trilogy, but that's not the point. He killed Han.
And that bothers the audience.
Well,
But
it's just,
within-
I don't know if
I
Like,
understand what you mean. It's
if
a big,
Leia's
it's a big deal.
character
In the
is
sense
still
of-
in it, is
Yeah.
she really going to welcome him back with open arms?
Yeah,
Because he's killed Han.
but he's also her son.
Yeah, well, I guess.
She
At
wants
least
him
no.
back.
If you ever adopt me, at least
Frappuccino.
I know it's carte blanche to top you off.
Rob, what do you think
Hello.
about this? Rey to the dark side and Kylo back to the light?
I'd love to see it. I concur that I don't think Lucasfilm is going to take that step, just because, for the reasons that we've already outlined, which is, she's a kind of, she's a role model she's a kind of aspirational figure. I don't say role model because, there are elements I could frame it in a way that would make her sound like a horrible, horrible person, but she's an aspirational figure in terms of heroism. What's interesting is, I said this to a friend the other day, I'd be really interested if Rey is still her name at the end of the trilogy, because on the one hand, there's no reason why it is necessarily has to be. But at the same time, there are going to be people, I know these people, who've named their kids.
Yeah.
If they then give her another name, it's like, oh, no, that's your real name. Yeah,
it's got Goose's name.
Yeah, sorry, I should be more specific. People name their kid after Ray, as opposed to
mums and dads. It's a good mixed name, actually, isn't it?
Yeah,
and not mums and dads, sons and daughters.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, there you go. Just one quick letter change, one swap of vowel, and you've got a different name. But it's there's no guarantee that that's her real. That's always been her name. Because there's a big chunk of her past that's missing from the memories.
Well, like you said, isn't it written on the side of the helmet?
There you go.
It is, but in Aurebesh, it's slightly different spelling. But then
Helmut.
I was saying, because we watched Force Awakens at the weekend, I said to Lisa, that says Rey on the side of the helmet.
Yes, R-A, isn't it?
And I would be interested to know if she named herself Rey. And I think that's kind of sweet in a way.
Yeah.
But I also think, looking at the way we like to do, we step in and out of the narrative as we discuss these things. And if you step out of the narrative and you look at it as a thing, Rey's a brand now. So it'd be like getting to Return of the Jedi and changing Luke's name. It's just not going to work. I think that Rey is Rey, and that's how we'll always know her, unless she takes on an expanded version of that name, maybe like a Jedi name.
Rey.
If she does, not an elongated version of the name.
Oh.
I think my point of view has always been that I think Rey is heading to the dark side, and I think that this trilogy of films is a rescue mission for Kylo. I think they're desperately going to try and pull Kylo back to the light. I think that's what we saw Leia hit by at the end of Force Awakens when Han died. I think it was the loss of her son that she felt more than the death of Han. And I think it's Luke and Rey out to save Kylo. And
it wasn't put very well across if that was the case, because everyone thought it was the loss of Han.
I got something else I think is going to happen as well.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going to lose the dog.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, because I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be. Yeah, I think it's going to be Finn and Poe who are going to sort of, unfortunately, buddy up.
I don't know.
I think Star Wars will officially be dead.
I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can do that, considering what's probably going to happen in 8 with Leia. I think it's, if they leave too many hats on the ground, they are going to burn a lot of bridges to the OT fans.
They seem to be they're not concerned about being ruthless at the moment, though, are they?
No, but
they didn't have a choice with Han, did they? Because he was leaving. He wanted to leave. He wanted out.
And also, it made sense for him to go as part of that Obi-Wan role, because he was filling that role.
It's the same role. It's the same beats, isn't it? And it's also important for Kylo because you see what he's trying to achieve through that.
Yeah,
it's important blood for him to spill.
So at the end of the day, the dog's worthless.
Well, there are rumours at the moment about what Chewbacca gets up to when he's on Arc 2, and it seems kind of. It seems, from what I'm hearing at the moment, like they don't have much to do with that character. It depends really. In the trailer, we see the Falcon. Who's in the Falcon, and how long will that last? So if Luke and Rey go off and do their Jedi thing together, and Chewbacca ends up on the Falcon with Rose and Finn and the droids, or at least a droid, and that's the new pairing. That Finn gets the Falcon and the Wookiee, and Poe's off with the Resistance, fulfilling the Leia part of the equation. Then we have our new Han and Chewie, we have our new Leia, and we have our new Luke in Rey. So I think I've always felt that Rey would be heading to the dark side, but now I think that that's a lot of story to tell in 8.
I think if she's going to go into the dark side, she's coming back by the end of 9.
Unless there's another trilogy.
But even then, I don't think that, because that's not guaranteed at this point.
What I think the next trilogy.
Yeah, I think that would inform their choice of where to take the story, and I think that would put them off. Because there's no guarantee of further movies. If you leave the story there, or there's a chance that you're going to leave the story there, they probably get quite a big kind of backlash from that. Yeah,
so this is the outside of the narrative thing to consider, and it's what they know now, what negotiating they did before they started writing the story for 9, because if they'd locked at least Daisy Ridley in for future movies, then they're free to tell Anakin's story with Rey. And if they haven't negotiated that stuff and they're thinking, let's just tie this trilogy up in a pretty bow, then they're telling Luke's story with Rey.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the two options as I see it.
Yeah.
You've given us the same origin for Rey as Luke and Annie in episode 1. So now we're at a crossroads where they're training. Which way do they go?
Yeah.
Does she go down that dark route and you retell Anakin's fall with Rey, or do you celebrate Rey and take her the way of Luke? And Luke will now be Yoda.
I think that's going to be I think it's going to be the latter, because I think they're going to be wary of. Unfortunately, Steve's right in the sense that there is a bottom line, and I think that they could lose a lot of goodwill by, unfortunately, making bold decisions. It's going to cost them some goodwill.
Yeah,
and it's a shame because I think sometimes it has the risk of hampering storytelling when you're too considerate of the
when you're careful,
of the return.
When you're watching,
when you're too
stepping.
careful. Yeah, when you're too careful and watching where you're stepping, you run the risk of not being at your most brave.
Yeah. Yes, that's why I like independent.
Maybe Luke goes to the Jedi, dark side. That's why it says time for the Jedi to end.
That's why Steve kind of alluded to it. That's why independent films have their charm. It's because they tell a very different type of story, and they tell in some ways they tell a more pure.
Yeah, they're not pandering to political correctness or trying to appease anyone or trying to make money because they haven't got any money.
They still can pander, and believe me, I've seen evidence of this in movies where they still pander despite being independent. It's just you're getting a much more raw sense of the artist's sensibility. So if it feels if it comes across as pandering, it's because the director or the writer believes that fervently, as opposed to it being kind of putting a hat on it, as it were.
Movies by committee.
It's less of that. It's more.
I don't think these Star Wars movies are being made by committee. And listening to Rian Johnson talk,
I'm sure that's not the case.
He said he's had as much creative freedom on Star Wars as he's had on any of his own films.
Yeah.
But he has.
He did Looper.
He has revealed that he hasn't.
Love Looper.
He's revealed that he hasn't written 9. That's something that came out in the past week. He didn't write episode 9, and he didn't. As far as we can tell from his comments, none of his treatments are involved with 9 because he had story treatment when he was going to write both. So his treatment isn't connected to episode 9 now. So who knows where Colin Trevorrow is going to take Rey's character? But I really wish that they would send her to the dark side, because then it gives us a trilogy about her redemption, and I would love to see that complexity. I'd love to see Daisy sort of tackle that, because she's all smiles and enthusiasm. Yeah, and I would love to see some of that darkness we saw at the end of Force Awakens in the lightsaber drawer. I'd love to see some of her get lost in some of that. Not that I want to see the same stories told over and over again, but when we're looking at archetypes, and to me, she can either follow Luke's path or Anakin's path at this point. And I really wish that they would choose Anakin's, because that would be a nice little switch, and not one that we'd all expect.
Yeah, which would be cool.
Okay, we've got a question from James at Tumbling Saber. Do we take that?
Oh, man.
Or do we? Yeah, let's take that. Let me just find it again, because I marked it as read.
I hope it's the question that I asked them, because they had a good discussion about what I asked them. But maybe not. Probably not.
Okay, this is it. Hey boys, James here from the Tumbling Saber. Simple question. Who dies, Nate? Pick a name and hang a hat on it. I'm going to say Leia lives, but Finn doesn't see episode 9. Have fun, chaps. Another great show. May the 4th be with you. So who do we think will die in episode 8, if anybody?
Someone's going to die. 100%. I'm not sure who. Possibly Luke, because he wouldn't. He was a bit cryptic about coming back in 10, wasn't he? 9, sorry.
Who's Thingy Bob? Brendan Gleeson's son.
Hux.
Oh, General Hux.
He's gone. Yeah.
That was my thinking, actually.
That's not a bad prediction, actually.
I said it first, Rob. You can't prove you thought about it.
I was thinking it first.
I reckon the dog's gone.
Well, then you can't have two.
Why not?
Pick one.
Oh,
Pick
I said
one.
I can't have two. Well, yeah, I'm going Hux.
All right. I'm with you.
Right, so you both
No,
think
you've got
Hux.
someone else.
I can choose someone else if you prefer.
I'll give up.
You
Hux.
can have the same. You can have the same because I think that.
I can, but I'm just if Paul would
Whether you
prefer me
should.
to come up with something different, I can come up with something different. That's not a problem. I just need a second to think about it.
I think Hux is a pretty sound bet. I'm not sure that we'll lose any of the main players aside from Leia. I think Leia is going to leave us in 8. I can't see another way around it with everything that's being spoken about at the moment behind the
Sorry,
scenes.
I thought that was a foregone, so I didn't go there.
No, well, you can have that if you want. That can be your thing. I mean, that if I was a betting man, that was where I'd put my money. Rob, have you come up with anything? Anything other than Hux?
I do feel like it's going to be a character from the dark side, from the baddies. Could be Phasma. Guess so.
No, because she didn't get enough of a chance.
Yeah, I want
in
her.
7.
I want her to go into 9 as a more powerful. To kind of make her look better going into 9. I want her to go into 9. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so limp in the last.
What
one.
about Laura Dern? Because Laura,
she's playing, do we?
That's another possibility. Is it's a character who comes and goes within the same film. I was thinking originally along the lines of sort of characters who seem a bit murky. Benicio del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but obviously I don't know who he's playing and what his story is. But I feel like he could be if he's a kind of nefarious character who they just need for the purposes of getting through some goal, some obstacle, then he might sort of bite it after that point when they don't need him for storyline purposes anymore. Yeah.
MSW referred to him as, or alluded to the fact that he might be kind of fulfilling the. No, was it MSW? No, it wasn't. It was on RFR. Who was the guy they were talking to?
That's a lot of acronyms.
Yeah, it is. I can't remember who the chap is that was on Rebel Force Radio, but he was suggesting that Benicio del Toro's character, who's known as DJ at the moment, it's kind of like the working name, might fulfill the Lando criteria for this story.
So be somebody who's kind of seen as reliable, but actually be a bit of a backstabber?
Yeah, or initially he's seen and comes good. He's initially seen as being the weasel, but then he comes through at the end.
Okay. So maybe he's sort of set up as nobody trusts him, and actually they realise he's decent after all.
Yeah.
But maybe
Tell you what might be quite funny
for that to happen.
They should kill Snoke off in the next film.
Do you know Snoke ran through my head?
And well, in 9, they're all just sort of standing around going.
Just reading the paper.
Yeah.
But the idea of Benicio del Toro's character having to kind of, be offed in order to prove to them that he could be trusted after all might be a good narrative.
Yeah.
Might make for an interesting story.
Yeah.
If they're sort of, if they're kind of watching him with one eye all the time because he's got a sort of shady past. Maybe he's worked against the resistance or something in the past, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Do you think just to throw something on to before Steve? I know you haven't cast your vote yet, but to add something on to James' question, do you think we'll have at the end of episode 8? Do you think we'll have a character missing that we're worried about the way Han disappeared in Carbonite at the end of Empire? Do you think we'll lose one of our main?
It'd be a bit Empire, wouldn't
heroes?
it?
I think it's unavoidable at this point that they're going to hit those beats from Empire.
I don't know. I could see maybe somebody like Poe being captured by the First Order and in their custody at the beginning of the movie, or by the end of the movie, rather. Mm-hmm. And so maybe beginning of episode 9 is in a similar way. It's a rescue mission, but it's them sneaking aboard a ship. That sort of thing.
Do you think it would be cool if they mixed it up and the end of this movie was like an award ceremony, the way A New Hope ended, that everyone was thrilled to bits and they'd succeeded and everyone was getting medals and the dog didn't get a medal? You
can't leave it on that into episode 9. They can't end that on a happy note as well. People will just start, it's too much. It's almost saccharine.
You could do that with the old dun, 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 and then bomb, bang, bomb, bang.
Yeah, I mean, it could.
Oh,
it would be
okay.
something like imagine, and I
Right,
don't want this to happen at all, but imagine that there was like this big. Steve, is that you being shouted at?
No, it's Jenny shouting at Frankie.
Oh, there was. Imagine they have this. Goodness me! Imagine they have the big award ceremony on like at the end of the Phantom Menace where they're all outside and everything, and then you get that huge eclipse as a space station pulls in front of their sun. That would be a way to end that episode, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
because we've just seen that on Jeddah.
They did that in Apocalypto.
That does end up going a bit sort of dun dun dun, kind of over the top,
just like the old RKO serials that this thing is based on.
Yeah, true.
Really arch. Really, really arch, really big.
And then when the next film starts, it's completely different.
I just had a thought. Yeah. I'm trying to get over the pain of it. Give me a sec. What if we've been talking about Benicio del Toro's character being a sort of shady bloke they need to use potentially? What if he's on the First Order ship and that's what we're hearing about Finn, and then he's having to sneak on to break him out of First Order's custody rather than Canto Bight? So maybe they go to Canto Bight to find him.
Yeah.
And then they find out that he's actually the First Order have already got to him, and they have to go on board the ship and sneak him out.
And that's when he crosses paths with Tom Hardy and things like that.
I'm still. Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's it. And that could make for almost a comedic exchange where he says, "Oh, I heard you got seen on the Resistance base. You undercover?" And he just goes, "Yeah, I'm undercover." Yeah, and it's kind of a comedy moment because Tom Hardy doesn't realize that he is, but not in the way he thinks.
They've played it all down, haven't they? He's sort of leaving the First Order.
Yeah.
Steve, before we move on,
hello there.
What's your who's going to die in 8?
Well, I think there's a distinct possibility Luke is. They'll make it too obvious and then play a double bluff on us. They've made it too obvious by the name of the film, so people go, nah, they're not going to do that. They wouldn't have called it that if they were going to do that. He's alluded to it already, but has he? I think it's him. I think he's gone.
Okay.
That'd be great, right? And this isn't going to happen, but this would entertain me. It's Rey, and then you see Snoke shimmer into view, and it's M. Night Shyamalan, and he just and he's like, "I'm actually writing episode 9. Enjoy," and then credits.
And Disney stocks fall like you wouldn't believe.
M. Night Shyamalan is back.
He has his moments.
Split was awesome.
I've heard good things about Split, to be fair.
Yeah, it was very, very good. Mind you, what's his name made it as good as it was, as much as the director did. But
Professor X.
I'll try and watch that this weekend, I think.
It's very good.
Okay, right, let's go to our break then. Thank you, James, and thank you, Ian, for throwing those questions in last minute there. Let's go to a quick break, and then when we get back, we've got a very, very unusual Connor's Corner this week.
Oh, okay.
We'll be right back. If you'd like to support what we do here at Talk Star Wars, you can do so by becoming a TSW sponsor. For as little as £1 per month given securely via PayPal, you can help us keep the lights on here at TSW. When you become a TSW sponsor, we will elevate you to VIP status. As a TSW VIP, you'll get access to an exclusive stream that provides you with fun downloads like HD wallpapers for your desktop, tablet, and mobile device, ringtones and text alerts courtesy of our very own audio Jedi at Rob Wade Vision. You'll also receive a monthly newsletter with news about what's going on here at Talk Star Wars, and you'll get a priority release of the new Star Wars audio commentary series called TSW Feature Comms. All this for as little as £1 per month. Head to talkstarwars.co.uk/support and become a TSW sponsor today, and the Force will be with you always.
And we're back. So as you just heard, you can go to talkstarwars.co.uk/support and become a TSW VIP, which gives you access to all sorts of cool stuff. The list gets bigger, I swear, every time I do this spot. So as is customary, after we hear from that particular piece, it's time for Connor's Corner featuring Leo. Or should I say Leo's Corner featuring Connor's temporary Force Ghost. I say temporary because he's fine. Everything's fine.
He's fine. He's just busy.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, don't say ghost about people. It sends the wrong message.
Temporary. It's fine. Anyway, Leo writes thusly. Everybody drink soft.
Merci. That's me.
Hi guys, it's me, Leo, this week. Dad's really busy at work, so he asked me to do this and said I can ask what I want. It does say I can't ask what I want in the email. I assume that's a typo, Mark.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that's a bit harsh on Connor's part. It's like you can write in, but you can't ask anything you want.
I just copied and pasted, so I'm assuming that that's his error, unless there are restrictions that he's then gone on to ignore.
Maybe. Let us know. Come back to us next. Come back to us next week.
Let's just wait. Let's just wait
in real time.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
That's
so we'll just wait
works,
for Connor
right?
to finish his shift. Yeah. Fine. The magic of editing. Anyway, Leo writes thusly. We watched Rogue One this week, which is now my second favorite Star Wars film after Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. My question is about the Stormtroopers. Are they clones? They have a different voice than the prequel troopers. I know this could just be to tie into Episode 4: A New Hope. As the films go on and we get to TFA, we find out that the troopers have been trained from when they were very young and are no longer clones. So where have all the clones gone? I know about Rex and Cody. I watched the Clone Wars, but there are over 1 million of them. There must be loads of them left, so where are they? Everyone wants an Obi-Wan film. I want a Star Wars movie about the clones and how it's been for them to get by after the wars are over. They've welcomed in some systems, but not others. I know this will never happen, but Rogue One was changed from being a war movie, but I want a darker movie, and so do others. Thanks, guys. Leo, I got to do the question on May the 4th. Ha ha ha. Dad will be raging. Probably true.
We have discussed this previously, haven't we? On another episode some time ago. So clones.
Ironic, really.
Is the score? What is the score there?
Well, they are in Rogue One, aren't they? Running around in the white suities.
Yeah,
No,
the stormtroopers are.
Stormtroopers, but they're not clones.
Yeah, what he's asking is, are they clones or are they conscripts?
Well, how do you know they're not clones? Because you never get one's helmet off.
At this point,
because their voices are different.
Yeah, at this point in the story, they're not. They are all
individuals,
and there's some.
It's like everybody else.
Yeah, there's some really interesting concepts behind it that they said that it was all nepotism and stuff. So people would get to bring family members into this group. Quite why they would want to is beyond me, but yeah, they're all individuals at this point. They're conscripted individuals. The clones are gone. Rob, do you remember when we spoke about it previously, what we said about where the clones had gone?
It vaguely rings a bell, but I can't recall.
It's really horrid. It's referred to in really flippant terminology somewhere that basically the Emperor just got shot of them. It was just like this genocide. He just cleaned up.
I'm just wondering, because they're clones, is there some kind of Lyceum contingency situation like they do? They can just turn them all off.
Turn them off.
Yeah. There's probably an order.
Pour them
into
in
their thing where they just kind of.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, there's the thing that's embedded in their brain that had
control chip.
It's like an organic control chip.
Yeah.
That led to Order 66 could have been used to turn clone on clone, and you could have had a contingent within that were designed to sort of wipe out
the others.
The others, and that's basically Palpatine just decided to wipe the boards clean and start again with more like a police force than an army, because that army built on Jango's DNA was kind of deadly. And they got the results they needed to get, and then the clowns that they kind of brought in after the clones were gone were only really there as a police force, weren't they?
I can still get a partial rebate on my warranty.
Yeah, from the Kaminoans. So that's the answer. Yeah.
Now I've got a picture in my head of Palpatine calling Camino customer service.
Yeah.
Hello, your call is important to us.
Press 1.
Customer
Please
service.
say yes or no.
No.
Please say yes or no. Yes.
Good.
Stupid text record.
How would you rate our service today? Good.
Leo, they are not clones in Rogue One. They would be more like the ridiculous police force that is the Stormtroopers in A New Hope, and Palpatine
the TAs
would have wiped it. Yeah, the TAs. They would have wiped out the clones when it suited him. And it also hides evidence of any foul play on his part.
YOLO.
All right. Thank you, Leo, for stepping in for your dad this week. Very good.
Do it again. Do it again soon.
All right. are we ready to move on to some Star Wars news?
Yes.
Yes. So there's something coming out about The Force Awakens.
Okay.
Well, this first part is a random thought I had the other day, because we were talking last week about the Perfect Weapon short story and how it sort of set up a lot to do with the lightsaber, and it led to my theory about Kylo Ren having Vader's lightsaber crystal in his lightsaber, and the thing about Luke's necklace and all that sort of stuff. Well, I've been watching the group this week, and Dave Donovan was really anti that sort of Kylo having the lightsaber, and he was presenting a lot of evidence about how the Death Star couldn't have crash landed on Endor. And even though it was initially in the design phase of The Force Awakens that the Death Star was going to be on Endor at the bottom of a body of water, like the bottom of the ocean or something, they never went that way. And I think what it was, there was a break in the chute when Harrison Ford had his accident, and Lawrence Kasdan and JJ managed to go away and rewrite some of the film.
Yeah.
And a lot of what they jettisoned was the lightsaber stuff. The tumbling saber at the start. With the hand that landed on Jakku. And then following that lightsaber all the way to the point when Maz Kanata gives it to Leia.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether the Perfect Weapon now is the first casualty of new canon. Where, because they rewrote the film, they'd already started publishing all this Road to the Force Awakens stories. It was there to set up a story that then JJ and Lawrence Kasdan abandoned.
Right.
So is this now, is the Perfect Weapon this curio that no longer has any relevance because it isn't setting up story elements anymore? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to do a bit of reading.
Yeah.
Or research, rather.
Yeah, have a look into that and see what you think, because it seems to me like it was definitely aiming at something, but all evidence now seems to be that what it was aiming at isn't relevant unless this kyber crystal that Luke's got becomes significant. In The Last Jedi. But that was I just wanted to sort of get that out there and mention that today, because I've been listening to what's being said, and I'm starting to think, well, there must be a reason why it's not making a lot of sense. And that seems to be it. That if they'd rewritten The Force Awakens and moved their attention away from some of the elements that the Perfect Weapon was designed to set up, then the Perfect Weapon becomes the first casualty of new canon. Anyway, let's move on quickly before we get lost in that too much. Rob, if you find anything you want to jump in, then please feel free. So Bresnikan posted something to EW this evening, just before we started recording, where he spoke about Rian Johnson's impact on the end of The Force Awakens. Basically, he went to JJ and Lawrence Kasdan and asked if they could make some changes to the final few moments of The Force Awakens, and not have BB-8 go to Arc 2 with Rey and Chewie, but instead send R2-D2, because that's what he wanted to get R2 back in play. That's what Rian Johnson wanted to get R2 back in play by the end of that movie. But within the body of that piece by Anthony Bresnikan was some interesting phrases. I've bolded the type in the show notes so you can see what I'm talking about, but I'll just read through. So this is a part of what Bresnikan wrote. We know vague details from The Force Awakens. After the events of the Return of the Jedi, the Rebellion became the New Republic, and Luke founded his own Professor X-like school for gifted students who displayed a sensitivity to the Force. That's the first thing that I found really interesting, that the way it was being reframed as like this school for gifted students, because not what I'd imagined. That doesn't fit with how I understand the Jedi and what they had in place in the prequel era. And it continues. One of them was his own nephew, Ben Solo, which is the first time we've really heard the name Solo sort of nailed down. I know Bresnikan's somewhere between what we do and what Lucasfilm are doing, and but he does a lot of research, Anthony, doesn't he? He speaks to a lot of people, so you've got to think that maybe he knows some stuff here. So Ben Solo, who became, this is the one that really blew my hair back, corrupted by the Knights of Ren and Supreme Leader Snoke.
Okay.
Corrupted by the Knights of Ren.
Mm.
And then taking the new name Kylo Ren, he helped slaughter his fellow students at the school. After that, his parents, Han and Leia, were driven apart, overcome by grief and shame. And Luke retreated to the secret sacred Jedi site on the island world of Arc 2.
Right.
Corrupted by the Knights of Ren.
There's more than one way to interpret that sentence, even if you do it by face value.
Certain points of view.
Well, not even just that, but also, but also, he could be corrupted by the appeal of leading them.
Yeah,
they could, Snoke could use that as a carrot, basically, to sort of like, if you come and join me, not only will I teach you the ways of the Force that Luke won't tell you, but I'll also put you in charge of this ragtag band of misfits.
Yeah, it's like being seduced by money. It's not the actual money that does the seduction.
It's a cherry on top of what is already an appealing cake.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I kind of could interpret that.
So I'm totally with you there as well, but does that mean that the Knights of Ren existed, or the concept of the Knights of Ren existed, and Snoke sort of said, look, if you jump over here, jump on board with me and I'll give you this group of, you can have your own little gang, and we'll call them the Knights of Ren? Or were they actually in place working for Snoke, and he said, if you come and join me, you can lead this group?
That's a good question. I don't know.
And that's what started me thinking, like, are they characters that are already out there?
Yeah. What if he was corrupted by them and obviously Snoke, but purely through his own ability, he became said centerpiece for them?
Yeah,
Snoke
could
was
be.
like, oh, I'm on a winner here. This guy's good.
Yeah, could well be.
I like the idea of him making his way through the ranks, to be honest.
Took I suppose he's had 6 years.
Yeah.
From Bloodline-ish era to Force Awakens is about 5-6 years, depending on whether or not he found out about everything while he was away, at what point he already knew, whatever. We've talked about that before, where we don't know, even though Leia's saying, oh, he's gone off with Luke, she doesn't know that for all she knows, it's already kind of gone pear-shaped to an started going that way.
We mentioned last week as well, didn't we, that there was a chance that Ben was getting into all sorts of mischief while he was with Luke at the school. If he was spending his downtime sort of bleeding crystals and researching the dark side, and whatever this connection is between him and Snoke, he may have been pretending to be Ben Solo, Padawan learner to Luke Skywalker, but all the time he's actually crafting this new identity for himself.
Yeah,
and the news that comes about Darth Vader being his grandfather makes it all click into place. And he realizes, oh, this is what I've been leading towards. That's what I've been feeling all this time.
Yeah.
Steve, do you have any thoughts on this, about where the Knights of Ren were?
Well, I've been listening to your ideas, and to be honest, I don't really know. I've been going back and forth. I don't really know. I don't know. Really. I honestly don't know the answer to that.
You don't know, do you, Steve?
I agree with Rob, what he said. But it's not something I'm privy to, very, knowledgeable about, to be honest.
No, that's okay. I mean, that's always been sort of the function of your perspective on this podcast, is to look at it as an audience member. And even though we pop the hood and look underneath and sort of rummage around and try and work out how this thing ticks, you're the valuable perspective because you're seeing it at face value. And,
well, I guess.
And right now, whatever the reveal is in 8, it's not going to disappoint for you, is it really? Where they came from and who they were.
We spoke about the whether it was a flash forward or back last week. I don't think Paul was there, was he? Which was kind of interesting. But I don't know if the Knights of Ren are still in existence at all. If it was a flash forward, then and it forms part of 8, then they are, right?
Yeah, I think there's evidence from what people have seen during production in Ireland. There's evidence that the Knights of Ren could still be a thing.
Because there's that hill battle, isn't there?
Yeah, but then there's the Snoke has a guard that protect him, a number of armoured individuals. It might be them that we saw. I think they're called the Protean Guard or something.
Okay.
They might have been who accompany Kylo Ren. Kylo might have dispatched the Knights of Ren by this point, for all we know. Mm-hmm. They may have outlived their usefulness.
So now, would they be? What's the consensus as to their Force ability? Are they Force sensitive or not Force at all? Or
nobody knows.
This is part of my thinking with this passage from Anthony's piece. Is if the concept of the Knights of Ren seduced Kylo, if Snoke said, "Look, join me, I'll give you all this power, and you can have this group, your own personal cadre of badasses." Did Kylo bring people with him from the school? Are they Force-sensitive former students of Luke's that Kylo gave a free pass to? A bit like Draco, Crab, and Goyle in Harry Potter.
I don't necessarily think they are. I'm kind of leaning towards them being just a sort of
mercenaries,
mercenaries, not for hire, but mercenaries on this, on his staff.
Yeah,
and maybe that's why he's able to sort of come in and lead them so quickly, is because he has the Force on his side and they don't.
Yeah, if they were students of Luke's, perhaps there aren't that many standout. Like Rey is super powerful. Kylo would have been super powerful. Perhaps everybody else is kind of like just at the point where they can kind of make stuff move, but they're not capable of using lightsabers. They're not capable of doing all that mind mojo that Kylo does. But I could see it appeals to me either way, that he brings with him a group that survive Luke's school and they become the Knights of Ren. Or if he comes in and he leads a band of mercenaries that are already connected to Snoke and the First Order in some way. I like either of those options.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'd never considered before reading this passage that they might have been a group that Kylo brought with him. And I find that kind of interesting to think that maybe not everyone died in that school.
Yes, it's possible. Maybe he gave them a sort of ultimatum. Come with me, or I'll cut you down too.
Yeah.
So maybe some of them are there under duress, but they just fear him, and he feeds on that fear.
Yeah, so we've seen precious little at the moment, but they did some of the body language in that shot, especially if you boost the contrast. They look kind of cocky. No one, the kind of surrounding him, there's a deference on display. But there's some of the characters in the background sort of got the weapons on their shoulders and stuff. They're kind of cocky.
Yeah.
Which implies sort of a degree of comfort around him, of confidence in him. Not like they're not like cowering behind him.
Yeah. Here's a thought though. In the event that you're right, let's walk it back. Which are you saying is the more likely possibility?
I think it's more likely that they're mercenaries that Kylo has risen up to lead. I think that's more likely. But I really find the concept of him bringing people from Luke's school to be very mouth-watering.
Okay, I have one thing that will maybe dry that mouth out. If that eventuality happens, then that flashback can't be the fall of the temple, because they can't already be in both places at once.
They can't be at the fall of the school, but
they can't be. Well, the school can't. Yeah, the Kylo is there, but the school can't fall. And because the school falling and him taking them with him would presumably be the same event.
Yeah, possibly. But it could be that sort of thing where, imagine them in the dark corner somewhere saying, right, at 10 o'clock, pull out your giant cricket bat and your almost Boba Fett helmet, and then we're going to bring the school down. So that could have been the thing where they
I see what you're saying, yeah.
It's a coordinated effort.
But it does seem like they wouldn't have armor and stuff by that point. In that case, because they're like, they're going to be also doing arts and crafts in free period at Jedi school.
Yeah, and Luke wanders around and says, "What's this?" I said, "Make a duck." Oh no, this is
a battle axe.
You are definitely sharpening a giant axe.
Yeah, but no, this is just a like a shiny duck, a really shiny, really sharp metal duck. Honest,
I think you can look at the way Kylo is kitted out at that point. In that flashback, if we are to take that literally, it implies that he's already got this stuff together. He's got this Kylo persona together. So there's no reason why if he did flip people in the school and bring them around to his way of thinking, there's no reason to believe that they couldn't also have similarly prepared their alter egos ready to go on cue. I do think the alternative is more likely, but I really do like this thought that he's brought people with him from the school. And that's a coordinated effort to bring it down on the same night.
That combined with the vision makes me think that it's more likely to be the first one.
Yeah. Any thoughts, chaps, before we move on?
No.
Paul and Steve?
No, I'm still going with my first hypothesis. It's not a hypothesis; it's a want.
What was your first one? Refresh my
I think he's just one of the kids that he comes through the ranks.
Yeah.
And as he grows with the ranks, his hatred grows more and more, and the swelling grows and all that, and then he becomes this kick-ass beast. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. It might also be, if that's true, it might also be where people think, cool, you know what, he is kind of dangerous. And then the news breaks, oh, actually, he's Darth Vader's grandson, so I'm going to give him whatever he wants.
And a wide berth.
Yeah, to boot. Okay, right, let's move on. We spent quite a bit of time on that, but this is what I like about Breznican. He just writes a couple of passages and it blows my mind. So,
yeah,
nice work, Anthony. All right, Last Jedi news. The space horses previously mentioned by MakingStarWars.net are called, not Claude, Falvias, and are racehorses on Canto Bight.
Okay.
So that's a pretty cool little concept. That big space horsey beast, if you click through that link in the show notes, it will take you and you'll see some...
Is there a link to it?
There's a link there. It says more here. Click on here. It will take you to MSW and you'll see the horse
technology thing's awesome.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's internet.
To web.
It's kind of what Jason was saying over on Making Star Wars is that there will be jockeys and stables and lots of these horses. So it seems like they're really leaning into this whole Casino Planet type concept. And it might be something that they steal to sort of get where they're going. If that's to get to Benicio del Toro's character, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
Pretty cool. Steve, have
maybe
you
that's
seen...
where they meet their buddy.
Where's the link, Mark? I'm trying desperately to click on it.
The word here in the show notes.
Yeah, I'm trying that. And nothing's happening. It might be because I'm on the iPad-y
maybe
type thing.
Yeah, it's
probably... I thought there was a picture.
There's not a lot there. It's all sort of blurry set photos.
No, it's working now. I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm on my way.
It's set photos.
Nah,
you should
Steve,
see.
forget it. It's all.
Yeah, we're moving on, Steve.
Oh,
Bruce.
Bluey.
Yeah, there's a photo set in there, and it should bring you back to the Space Horse somewhere. I'm just having a click through.
No, I say there's not really a very clear picture of them from anything in there.
Spy shots. Oh, there's not.
Yeah.
They did have one on there earlier. I wonder if they've been asked to take that down.
There's no shots, Mark.
No, I've got a white screen of death.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's because you're using technology with an eye written in front of it.
Oh, hang on, it's loading.
Yeah, there
now.
is one. If you go, there is a hyperlinked line in that post that I've linked to that says about Space Horse, and if you click on that, it takes you, and there is a picture of Finn
the
sitting on the
Space
back one.
Space Horse.
It's like an horse with big gremlin ears.
Zero GG.
Zero GG.
Are you talking about on the page, Mark?
Let's just move on. It's all.
It says The Last Jedi. I've learned that the horse we use to call the space horse is actually called a falvia, and it's the bit that says the space horse that you have to click on.
That's the one.
I see.
And it don't work.
I think we found our episode title for this week. Episode 68.
Space Horse.
Space Horse.
Oh, I'm there, Mark.
Space Horse.
Blimey,
Is
is
the
it
guy
the
with
picture
the
guy with the black thing? Yeah. Is that the space
looks like a normal.
No.
Oh no, further down.
Scroll
Paul.
down. Yeah.
It's like a really, really weird horse with a big.
I love the
spike on its
idea
head.
that you thought. So for the listeners' benefit, the picture that Steve said, no, it's not that one, is a picture of loads of extras on a cruise ship. The horse is incognito as a party guest.
Don't worry, Paul. I still love you. It's the one with the big mane that sticks out either the side or the front.
It's the Waking Great Horse in the picture.
But it doesn't even look real. It looks like CGI.
It looks like a real horse.
It is
to me. It looks like a real. It looks like
it's about 9 foot high, Rob.
I don't mean a practical effect. I mean it looks like a big horse, like a big normal horse. I'm sure they're going to CG over the top. It's probably a motion capture horse.
There's something on the back of it.
A person.
No, it's got a tail. The thing on the back's got a
horse.
Tail.
It's a horse.
No, there's like
my kingdom
there's
for
something
a horse.
on its back.
All right, let's move on because I know that the clock's ticking and Paul needs to bail at some point soon. So we're jumping onto Han Solo news now because that last Jedi story didn't go so well. So a couple of names have been revealed this week from the Han Solo film, and since I put that as Space Horse, since I put that in the show notes, a whole bunch of other names have come out as well. So,
okay.
First, earlier this week, 2 names hit: Mother Proxima and Val.
Okay.
Mother Proxima is thought to be perhaps a motion capture or performance capture character that might be played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Okay.
My theory is, and I put this out on a Kessel run earlier in the week, that it's a droid. And I like the idea that Mother might be nodding towards, in Alien, that really sinister like computer that they go into the room and it's like it's like the brain of the Nostromo.
Mother.
That's called Mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like how eerie that is to sort of have like this love, this really maternal sort of name and everything that implies attached to a cold AI, and Mother Proximus would make a really cool.
It could be Val's mum.
It could be Val's mum. Yeah, Val Proxima and a mother. God, that cut through my theory like a hot knife, didn't it, Paul? Val's mother,
like a space horse.
Mrs. Proxima. She rides a space horse. I still like the idea that this droid or this performance capture character that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is going to be playing is a droid, and I like the idea that that's the reason Han has no time for C-3PO because he spent his youth with this droid that used to wind him up.
Do you know what? What if he's what if he's an orphan,
mothered by a droid?
Yeah, and the one that doesn't treat him particularly well because it's like HK-47 in Legends doesn't really have has nothing but contempt for humans.
Oh yeah, like 000 in the comic books at the moment.
Yeah, something like that would be cool. So then that would sort of feed into that mistrust of, that dislike for droids.
Yeah. The other name, Val, is supposedly a top tier character, and people are sort of implying that it might be Emilia Clarke, who's the lead actress from the lead actress in this movie is from Game of Thrones.
Terminator. What's
Terminator
it
Genesis. Yeah.
Genesis. Yeah.
So her character may be named Val. That's a name that was on a lot of call sheets and had a lot of stunt work. Val Doonican.
She's often wearing very little, if I recall, in Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Yeah,
there are moments where she wears very little. Yes,
I haven't Googled that ever.
Certainly not saved it for future ease of access.
I ain't got no playlist with all the naked scenes from Game of Thrones in it. What are you talking about?
I think you'd struggle to find one, wouldn't you? It wouldn't be on YouTube for sure.
No,
I've looked, to be honest, so I don't know.
That stuff will get pulled down damn quick. So Mother Proxima and Val, they were the first names that came out this week, and there's also another one in this long list of names, Dryden Voss as well. That's a name that came out this week, and it snuck past me. I missed it somehow. But I heard the guys at MSW talking about it on Now This Is Podcasting, their podcast. Right. Dryden Voss. Now, there is a Voss.
It's Quinlan Voss.
Quinlan Voss is a Jedi. And he's referenced in Sith, right? In Revenge of the Sith?
Yes. He's also in Dark Disciple? That's still canon. With the Sarge Ventress.
Yes. Yeah, it's they team
he's
up.
He's the Jedi in that. Yeah, during the Clone Wars era.
Yeah, Master Voss. It's something to do with Boss Pity, wasn't it? Whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this character is connected to that character in any way, or if it is him.
Maybe.
In hiding.
Could be like Bib Fortuna's cousin. I don't think we'll see any hiding Jedi.
No?
Because that doesn't make sense with Han coming into the New Hope, not really giving a monkeys about the Force.
Exactly. Yeah.
If he's seen a hidden Jedi, he's like, "Oh yeah, no, that's the real thing, isn't it?"
This is the big question about Han Solo, isn't it? How much of the Empire, how much Vader, how much of the Force and the Jedi are we going to see, or are we going to see something that really just stands on its own?
I think we're going to see there's going to be the Empire in the background, much like the Jeddah bits of Rogue One before they sort of get into the big street fight, where it's just kind of you're walking past and seeing Imperial oppression and things like that. But I think that's as far as it's going to go.
Yeah. Well, that would be good. I mean, if they're part of the landscape, then fine.
Yeah.
We don't have
really,
to do too many run-ins.
Even if Vader's Force skills were known in the Empire, people would never have spoken to him at the table in A New Hope when he Force strangled one of them, the Force chokey thing. They would never have even done that if he was renowned for doing that. So even in the Empire, the Force wasn't well known. So he could come across it.
Because he's giving him a bit of lip, isn't he? Saying like, "Don't frighten us with your sorcerer's ways, Vader."
Yeah,
as if to say like, "Don't give."
Like you're a magician and nothing.
Here he goes
more.
With the religious stuff again, guys.
I wonder how much of that is to do with them believing he's under Palpatine's control. Like he won't strike out against these senior officers because he's under Palpatine's thumb.
Yeah.
Or is it that they just think that this guy's just a thug and all this magical nonsense people are talking about is just smoke and mirrors?
I think the latter.
Apocryphal tales of Vader.
Yeah, I think by that time, by that time, all the Jedi are seen to be gone. And actually, beyond seeing the evidence of the power in New Hope, I don't know that anybody in the Empire particularly often would see Vader do anything Force related.
No, I get the impression he spends most of his time on Mustafar chilling out in that castle.
Yeah, probably.
And it's almost like you can imagine him kind of, instead of being that guy that's first through the door like he is on Hoth, he's kind of like the guy that people say, have you heard about this sort of armoured beast that Palpatine calls into the...
He's as much of a legend as anything else.
Exactly, yeah.
Like a ghost story almost that the Imperial stormtroopers tell each other.
Because we're
did you hear what he did? Did you hear what he did on the ship at the end of the Battle of Scarif?
Yeah.
I heard that was brilliant.
See, that would be the stuff.
Come to see.
That would be at the time where Vader's becoming more and more prominent in the Empire, as Palpatine starts to dial his presence down. Because he becomes more and more of a recluse, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. So there's less a political figurehead at play and more this armoured beast that everyone's been so scared of for such a long time. But up until that point, I wonder how much Vader's really a fixture if he is just like this legend.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at this we mentioned this image last week, this alien, when we started talking about should we have more familiar alien species in these movies and less of the new stuff. And I don't think I had the image in last week's show notes, so I popped it in this week. Oh, I did I? Okay.
Yeah, because I said he looks like one of the guys from Jabba's Palace.
Yeah. Yes, that reuse. It's absolutely fantastic, this thing. I don't know if you guys have seen the video with this in. It's a practical effect. It's really well.
Is it animatronic?
Yeah, it's all animatronic. That.
Wow.
It's impressive.
Great. That's amazing, isn't it?
And I really love, if you look at its face and you can
looks like he's about to sneeze.
He definitely looks like he's about to sneeze. But it also looks like if you broke that head up into 3 pieces, each one works on its own.
Yeah.
And they look very distinct as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an awesome design.
It's interesting. It almost looks more like a Babylon 5 alien than a Star Wars one, doesn't it?
It's got that same
it's got that same kind of stippling on the face, on the sort of what passes for a forehead as one of the races in Babylon 5. I forget which one.
What is the name of this alien?
We don't know yet. Yeah, his name's Steve.
His name's Naked Steve. We're going to basically take Lucasfilm to court over it.
Where did you see the clip then, Mark?
It's one of the Omaze things. It's on the Star Wars YouTube channel, I believe.
Yeah.
And Warwick Davis seemed to imply also that he would be in the Han Solo film.
Okay.
He suggested, I'm kind of a spoiler to the directors. Right. Just as the camera swung around and lands on this alien, when its little face sort of reacts to suddenly being on camera. It's brilliant. It's so charming. Yeah. And I like the idea of Warwick being in this film because I really like Warwick Davis and I want him to be in all Star Wars films, please. And
he seems like a lovely man.
Really great guy, yeah, really awesome.
Yeah, he's been in probably more than half now, hasn't he?
He's been in, he's in Jedi, he's in Rogue One.
He's in some of them twice.
That's true, yeah.
He's in Phantom Menace twice.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, he plays Annie's friend, doesn't he?
Isn't he in Force Awakens as well? In Maz's castle?
Yes, he is, yeah. He plays the thing that kind of looks like a little... At least half then. Kind of a little... almost looks like a little grouse type thing, this little mask he wears.
There you go.
And then he's in Rogue One.
Yeah, there you go then, he's in half.
Yeah.
At least half.
Yeah, I don't think
the secret Han Solo set tour.
Yes, that's the one.
That's where it is, isn't it? Yeah. I'm watching it now. Okay.
So the last, what we'll wrap up on tonight then is this list of the character names that have been revealed so far for the Han Solo film, and we've got a couple of actors that play these characters as well, detailed on makingstarwars.net. So we know we're getting Han Solo, Lando Calrissian, Chewbacca. Beckett is
Woody
Harrelson's character.
Yeah.
He said that himself, didn't he?
Yep.
Then we've got Val, which is believed to be Amelia Clarke. Mother Proxima, which we are under, or I'm certainly under the impression that that's a droid played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Then we've got Dryden Voss, no one attached to that character yet. Rebolt, played by Ian Kenny, who we heard about a couple of months ago. Moloch, played by Harley Durst, who I think MSW said is a stunt performer.
Okay.
And then Moloch's henchman, played by Tien Hung. And then these last two, Grim and Emily's Nest.
They both sound like places.
Possibly places rather than characters.
Yeah. Emily's Nest sounds like a Ring of Kafrine style place.
Yeah, it's cool.
Or like a bar or something along those lines, like a watering hole kind of environment.
That's a good idea, yeah. Or it could be something perhaps on Kashyyyk.
Yeah, it could be.
The nest is kind of...
Are we going to Kashyyyk?
Possibly.
Maybe.
We don't know for sure. It's a possibility.
Because that was not used enough in the prequels.
No, I think they...
Or the holiday special.
It was used plenty too much.
Bob Iger suggested that we would see Han and Chewbacca meet, or see how they meet. Potentially, we sort of speculated that it might be in a cold open. Perhaps there's a need to go to Kashyyyk if this is where the life debt starts.
I reckon Chewie loses it in a game.
And now Chewie's son Lumpy is canon again.
Yes.
He was canonised in Empire's End.
Yeah, to be fair also, Paul, before I can hear the noise, but he was also canonised. Originally, he was in the canon besides the holiday special. So he was in the some of the books. And he was a Jedi, actually.
Oh.
Really?
Yep. He was quite a popular character by all accounts as well. But yeah, he's no longer canon as a Jedi, but I think it was Lumpy who was there was definitely a Wookiee Jedi who was in Chewbacca's family somewhere.
There was a Wookiee Jedi in the Clone Wars TV series as well. Had a wooden lightsaber. Hilt.
As a quick aside, did you see, I don't think we've talked about it on this show, but didn't Kathleen Kennedy walk back the whole fuss about the name Han Solo?
She clarified in no uncertain terms that his name
I was right.
Has always been Han Solo, will always be Han Solo.
Yep.
She didn't, as far as I can remember, she didn't contextualize Bob Iger's comments in any helpful way. Like she didn't say, "Oh, this is how he earns his reputation," or "This is how he gets his bounty."
She said it was not to do with his physical name; it was to do with how he got his reputation.
She did say that. Did she hit that?
I'm almost certain those were her words.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, she basically confirmed that I was right, and it wasn't as bad as all that.
Yeah, I think it would have been unusual to have, like we were saying earlier, with Rey's name being kind of a brand, Luke's name being a brand. Han Solo's a brand, and of course he's a brand, and he's one of the first solo movies or standalone movies. So taking that away would be very confusing and very dangerous thing to do. I think, to mix that up like that. So I'm glad that she's sort of come out and nailed that down a little bit for us. But yeah, I mean that this film, we're only a year away. It's so exciting. From a film that when I first heard about it, I thought, oh God, no. why do a Han Solo film? We've met that character. We've seen enough of that character, and now I just can't wait. I think it's so exciting to see what they might do with the storytelling now. Steve, you wanted to say something?
Got a lot to live up to, though, isn't it? With Rogue One doing so well.
It has. I think it will be they'll be in a different gear for this, I think. Because Rogue One was telling a narrative story, and this might tell more of a character story.
Yeah.
They can do what they like with this. There's no boundaries.
Yeah, because we're all going to be tuned in. We're going to be in Han Solo mode, aren't we? We're going to be expecting smugglers and pirates and fast spaceships, and you don't have to learn anything.
For the first time in any Han Solo related movie, you know he's not going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Which means the people he cares about need to be at risk. If you're going to have if it's going to have any weight and be effective.
That'd be a really cool twist, though, if you did.
Yeah. It would be like an alternate reality.
Someone would have to wake up at the end of that movie, wouldn't they?
Yep.
If it all turns out to be Chewbacca's dream.
Sorry, it's my. I'm just going to walk back something I said earlier that I'm incorrect on. It's not Lumpy who's the Jedi. It's Lowbacker.
Oh right, who's
in
that?
the legends. That was Chewbacca's nephew.
Oh right,
not son. But yeah, it was Lowbacker, not Lumpy. And the reason I got it. I remember now why I got it confused, because he's called Lumpy in the books, but Lowbacker is called Loey. So I thought, two syllables.
Name's actually Lampa Waru.
Yes, indeed.
Or Waru, but not all Lumpy, so you're all wrong.
No, not really, Paul. I mean, I'm going by Wikipedia, the bastion of all reliable Star Wars knowledge, but, whatever.
Ironically, I think that's the first time I've actually looked for anything Wiki-based in Wikipedia.
Yeah, I've never really thought about it, but you're probably right. It's probably true for me as well.
Right. Okay, should we wrap up there?
Indeed, gentlemen.
All the names for that Han Solo story are in the show notes, along with a link that takes you to the MSW post, so you can spend some time over there, because they're good guys, and they really are leading the way with this Star Wars news at the moment. Okay, that's us done. So thank you for listening to Talk Star Wars again this week, episode 68. Can you believe that? Steve is going to be uncontrollable next week because of that number. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review in iTunes. Take advantage of our Ron Burgundy guarantee. You've heard what's happened when people wield that power irresponsibly, so maybe we won't go there again. Whatever you write in there, I will read as long as it's clean. So
and he'll sing it if you put
amelodical.
I will sing it
Please
amelodically.
Put Marc to sing.
Yes, different. I will differently sing it. I'll read it as long as it's clean. So if you want to promote something like your own blog or your podcast, that is the place to do it. Or if you just want to give us sincere love, that's also an option, of course. You can email us your questions and comments to talkstarsinfo@gmail.com. It's talkstarsinfo@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on one of the social channels, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and more. I don't know why I say Instagram. I never go in there, so I don't know what's going on. With that said, gentlemen, where can people find you between episodes?
You can find me on Twitter, Stephen_Ware, or YouTube under World About Nature.
You can find me at Movie Score News.
Wow. Okay. Maybe we should go Paul, Steve, me next week.
Twitter, Paul.
Movie Score News.
Website, Paul.
Movie Score News.
.com.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RobWadeVision, and you can find the other stuff I do besides Talk Star Wars at Emotionally14 and Emotionally14.com.
Splendid stuff. You can find everything I do at talkstarwars.co.uk, and I'm on Twitter at TalkStarWars. We will see you guys next week. Stick around for the Commonwealth promo spot. Have a good week, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
I like turtles.
Always with the turtles. Talk Star Wars is a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Find us at StarWarsCommonwealth.com alongside
the Tumbling Saber Podcast,
the Generation X-Wing Podcast,
the TSW Roundtable,
the Skyhoppers Podcast,
and the Nerd Room Podcast.
Head to StarWarsCommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Let's talk about Loot Crate. Are you on a quest for epic gear, housewares, and collectibles? Loot Crate offers an epic range of pop culture items for less than $20 per month. Whether you're shopping for the geek in your life or you are that geek, Loot Crate is the best surprise you know is coming. Every month there's a different theme and new and exclusive items that you can only get with Loot Crate. Treat yourself every month or give the gift of geeking out to a friend or a loved one. You have until the 19th at 9 PM Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate, and when the cut-off happens, that's it, it's over. Make sure to head to lootcrate.com/TalkStarWars and enter the code TalkStarWars and save $3 off your new subscription today.